Good evening, everybody. We're on Talk Badminton, and tonight we're going to France to Justine Cammal. Where are you, Justine?
I'm actually in Copenhagen.
Are you? There you are. That just shows you what I know. You're in Copenhagen, and are you working in Copenhagen?
Yes, I work at Badminton Europe, so the Continental Confederation as a development officer. And indeed, I come originally from France.
Sorry for that. That's my bad, as they say. And how long have you been in Denmark?
10 months now.
Do you like? And did you move straight from France? Have you travelled? Your English is obviously very good. Have you travelled a lot, or?
Yes, I've been around a little bit. I come from a really different background, not from a sport background.
Really?
I studied environmental law.
Wow.
And I went to Quebec and a little bit of to Germany as well, and to Belgium during my studies. So that's where I studied and learned English.
Wow.
And I've been a volunteer. I've always played at a grassroots level, really, but I've played badminton for about 12 or 13 years now. And so I started, actually, I was already old. I started playing, I was 18 or 19 years old. So it was already, it was not my first sport. But I really, I really liked it. And I volunteered almost, immediately in my club and for events, tournaments, and this kind of stuff. And last year I saw the job offer on social media, actually, yes. And I said, why not? It's in Denmark. Copenhagen is a pretty city, and so I applied.
Wow. And how did you go from law? You're not old, so how did you go from European law into when did you decide I don't want this?
Oh, it was more of a there was no specific moment. I've always hesitated, I think, during my studies before I chose the environmental law specialty. I've always been interested in sports organization, sport management, and especially as a development officer, I don't deal like on a daily basis with high performance, for example. I'm really much more oriented towards the project development, project management.
Fantastic.
And so for me, it was always this kind of interest that I had in sports organization, the health aspect that you can have by being active, by doing sports, and the social benefits that you can have by bringing people together during events. So this, and I've been managing project before for sustainable development at my previous job. And so it was kind of a natural, I don't know, evolution maybe. And I wanted a change from the south of France, sun, the sea, it's over.
Oh, God, I know. Really. Oh, no. Where about in France are you from?
Montpellier.
Oh, wow.
So it's really close to the sea.
I just can't get my head around that at all. Let's move to somewhere dark and wet. From Montpellier. Wow.
Yeah.
And were you into coaching as well? When you took it up at 18, were you into coaching, Justine?
No. I was never.
Weren't you?
Never into actually the technical aspects or
really?
As a technical official. I was always or more into the administrative stuff, really? Or the development stuff. So I was part of the board at my local club.
Really?
When we needed to go for partnerships or when we needed to organize a tournament, and then I was keeping the scores or this kind of stuff. But I was I've never been trained as a coach or anything.
So does that make you a very organized person?
Yeah, well, I try. At least I try.
Yeah, you're quite like that. You're into the detail, the administration. Yeah, I'm the opposite of that. I'm I'm
Well,
a ramshackle. If I showed you my office, it's chaos. I'm not great at that kind of thing. Isn't that interesting? You're the first person I've met in that nature that's more interested in the organization and how if you'd probably be very, very good in a very, very busy club where they have. I interviewed a couple of people where they would have a club and they would have 70 people on a club which lasts 2 hours with 4 courts, and somebody has to organize and say, okay, you're next, you're next, you're next, you're next, you're next. Yeah. Wow. And
I think for that's the interesting part as well in sport development in general.
yeah.
I would say that you can actually connect different aspects. So it's not only about the organization, but you have to know a little bit about the country's development or the strength and the weaknesses, and then you can connect about a project, or you can try to. This is one of the big projects that we've developed last year. And we communicated about this as well, is the memorandum of understandings, the memorandum of understanding that we signed
Okay.
with most of our members now. And it's actually a way, some kind of a strategic plan with each of our members to work together in this. So the main objective is to have a closer relationship with our members. So that means that we currently are working with 54 members in across Europe. So that obviously requires some kind of
Organization.
organization.
So your members are actual countries?
We work with the national associations, the
Yes.
national badminton associations. Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing how and how. I mean, I think I asked you the question about cultural differences. I am quite interested, obviously being in the UK, interested to know, how. I mean, Denmark, for example, has seemed to have such massive success and so many clubs and so much interest in it, and I am always interested to know what their recipe is, for getting it out there, and it's I'm quite interested. And I think the money is obviously a thing, because a lot of people play it. There's money in it, and but there's money in it because people play it, and it's that, isn't it? It's a kind of
In sport, in sport, you always have this kind of situation because in some countries you don't know why you have this kind of tradition
Yes.
Regarding one sport,
Yes.
and then it becomes maybe easier, or you can actually have some expectations because there is this already existing tradition
Yes.
within the
Yeah.
country. So
But you wonder where
it's
this
the
starts.
rugby.
Sorry, it keeps moving. You wonder where it starts. You wonder where. I mean, I hear a lot of. I talk a lot about schools, and how. Schools. Everybody I've interviewed, or kind of kind of my age or below, or around my age, they've grown up. Excuse me, my dog's going. My wife's just coming. They've started sport really because of school, and there's been a teacher that stayed back after school to help or to start classes. But the political correctness world we live in, teachers can do so little outside of school time. And do you find that are you involved at that level? Do you find that teachers are involved in taking clubs after school, that kind of thing, in other countries? In the UK, it seems to have stopped, where it used to be a thing. A lot of people have started because a teacher was, took a maths teacher was into badminton, so he did it.
Yeah.
How do you think about that?
It really depends, I think, on the country, and we are mostly working with the badminton association, so they are handling their
Yes.
own educational system and their own connection to the educational system.
Yes.
So we are not directly in contact with the national educational authorities. Or but we do, I do agree with you in the sense that, for example, in France, because that was my experience
Yes.
actually. I started badminton in high school,
Yes.
because it was part of the physical education
Yes.
course. And so that's only after high school that I joined a club, because I liked the this sport. But in it, so in France we have a big number of players in or grassroots players in high
Really?
schools, or this kind of stuff. But they do not all join a club or develop, or for now it's not as developed as, for example, in another country like Denmark. So
Is it big in
I think
school? Is it in France as well? Is it a school thing? Is you'll have it in class? A badminton development, people going into schools outside of the school, within regions of does that happen? Or
I think that some federations are yeah, are developing that. And notably I would say that we work with the close in a close relationship we are with the BWF, of course. And by this we also try to develop the Shuttle Time program.
what's that?
And this is a the Shuttle Time program is a program developed by the BWF to actually attract players and grassroots players into badminton,
Really?
into the world of badminton. So this is one of the programs that we are developing at our level across Europe,
Yes.
to try to attract. Our main goal, I would say, as a continental confederation, is to have more badminton players everywhere and of all ages. And so that's our main goal. So that's what's interesting as well, to
That's
say.
what the objective is. Yeah, get more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You have so many benefits, and it's a fun sport, and you can actually have fun if even if you never uh, held a racket in your life.
Yeah.
You can easily have, you can have an easy access to it, I would say, compared to other sports. So that's the way we want to yeah, guide, or to attract more and
And
more
how
players.
does that message get out to the countries? How does that message get from Europe to your membership, from the membership to players? I suppose that's a thing, isn't it? That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah, true. And we have to remain really humble about this as well, because at the office we are a team of 14 or
Oh, yeah.
15 members, staff
Yeah.
members. So it's not that bad, I would say. It's cool, and compared to other sports federation, it's already a good team. But of course, compared to football or rugby, we are
Yeah, I know.
nothing in Europe.
I know.
So I follow a lot of rugby, so
Do you?
I
Oh,
always compare. Yeah, I always have this kind of comparison. But yeah, we try to build up projects with our members. So for example, the summer school that we organize, we've been organizing this summer school for many years now, um, at Badminton Europe, to be able to gather young players, so they can play together and achieve a higher level. We are trying to develop para badminton as well.
yeah.
And one quite interesting and really fascinating events that we are organizing for 5 or 6 years now is the para badminton event. And it's an event over 3 days, and we are trying to work with administrators of clubs or national
Right.
associations and coaches to be able to have an access to para badminton, because it's
Yeah.
not that easy, or it's not that some coaches or some administrators would like to develop this aspect in their own
I
countries, but
see.
they don't necessarily have the tools to do so, or the feedback from other associations. So this we did organize last year. We managed to organize this event, and I was
Really?
I was really, really glad to see this because it was my first event that I went
Yeah.
to as a big staff, as a Badminton Europe staff, and it was in Portugal. So it was in close cooperation with the Portuguese Badminton Federation, and they were an amazing host. And we managed to have the para players from the Portuguese national team with us, and it's amazing how the coaches and the players, you can have this kind of stimulation and this really, really good atmosphere for administrators and coaches to work with. So it was a really, really good, and it reminded me because I was part of the organization team for the 2018 Para Badminton European Championships,
Really, yeah.
that took place in France,
Well,
and that was one of the yeah, one of my best memories ever as a volunteer, because there was such a fun atmosphere everywhere, and the players are so cool and nice, and they, I mean, I watched some matches, and it was really amazing the level
yeah, no.
that players have in wheelchairs,
I think it's
especially. I was
amazing. I think it's
Yeah,
amazing. The abilities are absolutely incredible. The challenges that they face, and what drives them forward, and how they. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. It's a lot. You just take it for granted. You just take all of these things for granted. You know, when you without disability, you just think, well, that was a bit. But these people have a challenge. It's harder. It's undeniably harder for than an able-bodied person. A lot of the disabilities, you think, how would you do that? How do you? It's incredible. It's just incredible. So
but that's one of the really interesting aspect of sport development that you can have, and try to actually just with everyone and of all ages, because we would also like to develop the senior badminton.
oh, really?
uh,
Really? That's interesting for me. Obviously. That's interesting for me.
it's your category.
That's exactly, yeah, old. Senior, I think it frustrates me because senior badminton players are like 22. Senior
Yes,
badminton.
exactly. In France, it's the same. Senior means that you're of age,
Over
or 18.
18.
Yeah, over 18. We have another word in French for seniors, but yeah, that's an interesting part, because if we want to attract
Is it
and keep,
rubbish? Is it rubbish?
no,
Is that
no, and
I'm joking.
it's interesting because I think that there are a lot of players of all
Oh
ages in
yeah,
badminton, and that's one of the great aspects of the sport. And I think that it would
I
be cool
agree.
to promote them and to develop more, I don't
Well, I
know,
think that
tournament.
you're talking about
Yeah.
travel and Portugal and that kind of thing. I don't know if you listened to an interview with Colin Hepburn, who I interviewed a chap from Edinburgh called Colin Hepburn on Saturday. He's a musician, and he's 74, and he took it up when he was 40 from start at 40, and he now plays internationally in the senior level, and he's 74. He took it up at 40. He went to a club. He watched the video. It's quite interesting. He went to a club and he just loved it. He just went with his mother-in-law and just thought, this is a bit rubbish. And then kind of said, right, and looked at the court next to him and thought, God, look at them. They're really hardcore. They're good. So he ended up sitting watching them. The guy came off and he says, well, why don't you come next week and just try it with us? He's like, oh, yeah, I could try that. And after a few weeks, he played, and now he ends up playing in one of the best clubs in Edinburgh. And he goes international and he travels. And so that's what got me thinking about him, was that they're all self-funding, apparently. When you become a veteran, you're just self-funding. You pay for if you go in a tournament, if you go wherever in the world and play veteran badminton or master, isn't veterans, isn't it? I suppose it is. Then he says it's all totally self-funded. You pay for yourself to go, but he's travelled all over the world. I can't remember where he told me he travelled to, but he's totally, they just pay for themselves, right? And it's not about the money. You know, if you said to a club players in the UK, would you like to go and play in a tournament in Portugal, right, or play in an event in Portugal? People would pay, no question. People love badminton, don't you think? They love it. They don't just. It's not like a sport. Don't you think it's not like a sport that people just like? People. It's like Marmite. Have you heard of Marmite?
Yeah, I don't. See, it's either you like it
You
or you
like it?
don't.
No, you don't just like it. You
Sorry.
don't just. You don't just like. I would say that you don't just not.
You mean you're not neutral? You're
There's
not
no
neutral. To it.
neutral. There's no. Yeah, it's all right. It's either it's rubbish or I absolutely love it, and that's me, to be honest. I live, sleep, and dream it, and it's it's interesting. Obviously, I wouldn't be doing these interviews and sitting in the dark hours chatting to people about badminton.
But I have to say I agree with that. That's badminton. That's something that's connected me to all the places that I've been to. So in Quebec, I was able to play. I've lived in Tahiti for 4 years, and there is a really an excellent club with amazing people in Tahiti. And now there is a couple of clubs now. They've really developed as well there. And when I was in Belgium as well, and here in Denmark, I also found a club. Of course, the trainings or the culture around it is quite different that what I knew in France, because I was in a small club compared to this here. So
tell me about that, Justine. Tell me about your club.
Yeah,
tell me about your club. Come on, tell me about. So you live in Copenhagen now, and you moved over there, and you'd never been to Copenhagen before.
For a weekend.
For a weekend, okay. So when you went to Copenhagen, you didn't know where to go to play. Right, you didn't know what clubs there were. You didn't know. You just flew there and you took your racket and you thought, okay, I've been working all day talking about badminton. Now I'm going to go and play badminton, right? So how did you find the club that you go to, and what's it like?
I just tried. I just tried out the club the closest to my place. Yeah, that was just the criteria.
And what's the standard like when you walked in the door? Was it straight away wow, or was it I can help you, okay, or how was it?
It's of course, coming from France and from a club where it's of course the difference was big, because the club where I was before, there was not so much technical training, so we just went there. I went there like 3 times a week, and we could just play until we had to close the sports hall because we got the keys. So actually some evenings I was just playing matches with most of them senior players, and I was just playing 5, 6, 7 matches like this.
That sounds like my club. Yeah, okay.
And
I'm waiting to hear the contrast.
Yes, exactly. So when I came here, well, the situation was everything was closed. But between June and October, I think we had a couple of months when the clubs were able to reopen again. They were authorized to reopen again. And here the structure is really it's just really structured. And we had when we had a 2-hour training session, it's 2 hours, and you don't stay, or at least in the club that I am in, you don't stay another 2 hours to play other games. So you have routines, you have
drills,
multi-feed drills, and yes, and the problem is, my problem is, and now it's too late, but my problem is that I've never had technical training like this.
No.
Yeah, so I just I took badminton. I was too old already, almost to learn all the wrist skills and everything. So I just do what I can, and I know I can run, and I know that I'm quite powerful or quite strong. So I use this, but on the other hand, I'm lacking really some basic. Yeah, but I'm lacking like some basic technical skills. So I think that
you might become amazing. You might become like amazing. You might be like, wow, this is you may become Wow, you're going to go back to Montpellier and you'll just say that's rubbish. What's that?
Yeah. Let's hope so. But now everything is closed, as in the UK, I guess. Only the professionals can go to train. So for the more amateur or the grassroots players, we have to wait and go and run
And
outside
run.
in the wind. So I've been running a lot.
Can I go back to the club? When you went to the club, did they test you to see how good you are? What happens with that? Can anyone go? How many people were there?
Yeah, it's quite relaxed. I mean, I just went in one day, or I just contacted the club via Facebook, and I just asked, can I just come once and
Try.
play a little bit. And they were just like restarting after some kind of not a lockdown, but
Yes.
the clubs were closed. So then it was some kind of a fresh start of the season for everyone.
Yes.
So I joined the adult training group like this. Yeah,
Amazing, amazing. And
easy.
did you know you were going to be coached when you went, or did you go just thinking, okay, I'm going to play some games, or did they say on a Tuesday we do training, and then on a Thursday we do this? What happens with that?
Yeah, that's funny, because I actually trained and play with some really, really good players. And I don't know if you've followed the results of the junior teams
I haven't.
championships.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, a couple of months ago now, in Finland, we organized
Did you?
the mixed
Yes,
European
yes, I did
championship.
see. I didn't
for
watch it,
junior.
but I knew it was on. Yeah.
And the final was Denmark against France.
Really? Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was Denmark against France now. Yeah. And the coach of the junior team is actually the coach at my club.
Wow.
And I don't know all this, all these people in Denmark. So I'm still quite like starstruck.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Starstruck a little bit sometimes.
Yes.
But it's also really interesting to have this aspect and not have, because I've always got this image, like in sport organizations sometimes, that only former high-level athletes or only like former stars can work in the sport
Really?
development.
Really?
You know what I mean?
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes
Yeah.
you get
I guess I think I know what you mean, but just probably just more talking about getting an audience with, trying to connect with people is so much harder unless you have the name, I suppose. I think.
Yeah, and also that you need you need to know the sport
Yeah, I
as
agree.
well.
Well, that's my problem.
I am aware that as a volunteer, I don't know all the really technical or high level stuff. I'm still learning every day, but I know that I have like strength on the other side in administration, in
Of course.
project management, or this kind of
But
stuff.
we learn, right?
You can still,
We
you
learn,
can still
don't we, I think.
work and I think that it's always helped when you have this kind of passion, and I always enjoy watching the games, and so yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of very much like myself. I mean, I have interviewed a lot of people, and it's embarrassing because I don't know any names. People tell me stories and say, "Oh, I used to play with them, and I used to play with them." About the only name I know in badminton is Morton Frost. That's about the only name I actually know, apart from a lot of the more current English players. So, when people talk back to I played with him, and so there is always a bit of that. Interviewing people, people always give me names now, and I think I'm meant to go wow, but I don't know who they are, which is wrong, right?
You must know more. I know a couple of players.
I still get starstruck. I went to the All England last year, and I'm getting pictures taken with Lauren Smith and Marcus Ellis, and I was outside, and PV Sindhu, and Yamaguchi just got beat, and I think I got a photograph with her, and her face was terrible. She was in the square.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to the All England?
No,
Well, there's a square.
French Open, not the All England.
The All England, there's in Birmingham, the arena is on a side of a canal, and there's a bridge that goes over the canal to the city, which is about, the hotels are generally about 400 meters away, so very, very close. And it's a building on the canal side, and there's a bridge goes over, and should you want to, you can stand on the side of that bridge, and all the players are coming out of the back door of the courts and the training courts and everything else. Everybody, right? PV Sindhu, everybody. And if you stand there, and there's a Starbucks right next to it, so you just go and stand and have a coffee. And I'm just standing with my mouth open. It's ridiculous. Women in All England watching the games, and then they're coming off. And I got a picture of the Indonesian mixed pair having fish and chips. I got my photograph taken with them. I'll share it with you. Standing eating fish and chips after they just won the semi-final. I think, are you mental? Battered fish and chips. You know, you're about to play a final the next day. Oh my goodness. So yeah, it's amazing. So this is the core of what Badminton Europe is. It's about developing badminton across Europe and communicating with different countries about how they can develop. Is it?
And we also organize events. So I'm in the development team. So we are a team of 4 people working on these development projects that I told you about. And then we have colleagues in communication, and then we have colleagues in events, and they are handling, or they are managing the circuits that we organize, that we are in charge of.
Sorry, what was that? The circuits? What was that?
The junior circuit.
The circuits. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry for my pronunciation.
No, it's good. It's okay. So I think it was just the microphone, to be honest. Yeah, I say okay. So there.
So yeah, the European Championships and the junior tournaments and the senior tournaments. So there is all this kind of stuff, and of course there is also all the education aspect of technical officials, of umpires, of coaches, because we are also organizing courses for coaches.
Right.
So this is all these kind of aspects that we're trying to plan, even in this kind of weird year, but we're still trying to plan and to.
What you can do, it's a good time for you though, because what you can do is you can become very organized. You know, I always say that. You know, do you know what I mean? I think that I supply Xerox in my working life, and during the recession a few years ago, the property market fell. It died. You know, nobody was buying houses, and I dealt with a house builder locally, and quite a big house builder, and. You know, all the building companies were closing down. The boards were going up. Nobody was building anything, right? And I deal with the IT department within this building company. And I went in there one day, and you know, they're laying off people. The contract sites are closed, and there's a dozen more IT people in their office. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? Nobody's buying any houses. You're not building any houses. What the hell are you doing? And they basically said, what we can do now is we can become more efficient than we ever were before. So when we come back, we'll be stronger than ever. Because when do you have time, right? When do you have time to organize things like this? You know, if you had events on right now that were running right now, you would be so focused on those events right now that you wouldn't be able to do anywhere near the planning that you're doing now, right?
Yeah, but you also spend a lot of time reorganizing, because of course, we're planning events and courses, but last year it was planned, and then we tried to postpone some of them. And the para event we managed to deliver, so that was a good thing. But a lot of things were first postponed and then cancelled, and so we spend a lot of time like monitoring the situation and the travel restrictions and. So yeah, we have this all
challenge,
these aspects to take into consideration, but still we're trying to do our best, and
you're doing a great job. Well, I shall let you get on with your evening because it's quite late now, isn't it?
Thank you.
You're an hour ahead of me, of course. I should have guessed that. Is France 2 hours ahead?
No, it's only one.
It's only one as well.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. I know. I'm sorry. Okay.
No problem.
Thank you very much for your time, Justine. Have a good evening.
Thank you. It was really nice chatting with you.
Yeah, you too. I know you now. We'll be in touch.
Yes.
Okay, take
Okay.
care. Thank
Have a
you.
nice
And you, bye.
evening.
I've got a rugby player next. I've got a rugby player next. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. Tom Coughlin is the performance, the 7 o'clock. I've got Tom Coughlin, who is the nutritionist for the Scottish Rugby Union. So he is the chief performance nutritionist. So we're going to learn all about food.
Interesting.
Yeah, it should be
Okay.
good.
We'll watch this
Yeah,
one.
take
Okay.
care. Thank you.
Take
Thanks,
care. Bye.
Justine.